Hey everybody, Mr. Tim here.
Miss Colette.
Hey, you know what day it is?
It's Wacky Wednesday.
So we're back to our wackiness again. We have our jokes. We're going to be talking about some miracles that Jesus performed. We're going to only hit a few of them because if we talked about every miracle that Jesus performed in the Bible, you'd be here forever because there was so many of them. In fact, he's still performing miracles today. So we're just going to hit a few and concentrate on just one of those. But before we get started with that, we have our normal wacky jokes. Since I went first last week, I guess you can go first this week.
Oh, thank you, because I really love this first one. What do cakes and baseball have in common?
Everybody loves them.
Well, that's true, but they both need batters.
They both need batters. Okay. So, what do you call cheese that isn't yours?
Your cheese?
No, nacho cheese.
Oh.
And everybody likes nacho cheese.
I like nacho cheese. Well, why should you never tell a secret on a farm?
I'm not sure why.
Because the potatoes have eyes and the corn has ears.
That's pretty wacky. So what do you call cheese that is sad?
Well, it's not nacho cheese. It's
blue cheese.
Oh,
being sad is blue.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, what do you call a hot dog in the winter?
Delicious.
A chili dog.
Oh, I like me a good chili dog. Yeah, I could go. Yeah, it is.
So we're talking about miracles today.
Yes.
And like Tim said, there are so many miracles in the Bible, we can't touch all of them, but we do have a few we want to share with you.
And the first one we're going to talk about is actually the first public miracle that Jesus performed was when he changed water into wine. Him and his mother were at a wedding ceremony and they ran out of wine, so his mom asked him to change the water into wine. So that was the first public miracle that he had performed.
And then there was a time where a royal official had a son that was sick that was in another town, and Jesus told him his son was healed. Just by saying that. He didn't even see
So
the
he
boy.
just spoke it, didn't see him, didn't touch him or anything, just spoke it.
Yep.
Oh, well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So another one is Jesus walks on the water. I'm not sure about you guys, but I certainly can't walk on water. Can you walk on water?
Nope. I'd sink right down to the bottom.
I think we all would do that.
And then there was healing the blind man.
Didn't we just talk about that a few weeks ago?
Yeah, we sure did. There was a man that was born from the day that was blind from the day he was born. And Jesus took a little bit of spit and a little bit of mud and cured his blindness.
So he had never seen his entire life, but Jesus healed him and then he was able to see. And another one we're going to talk about is raising Lazarus from the dead. Lazarus had passed away and had been dead for a couple of days. But you know what Jesus done? Jesus said, "Lazarus, rise." And you know what happened? He got up and walked out of the tomb.
That one is so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he just got up and walked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the one that we want to talk about in a little bit more detail with you today is the miracle where Jesus fed 5,000 men and their families.
Just keep them busy. I'll be right back. Keep talking. Just keep them. I'll be right back.
Okay, so Jesus had been performing many, many miracles. He was healing people that were sick. And they were following him because this was so amazing and they wanted to see what he would do next. Well, he had decided that... what are you doing?
Well, you said we were going to talk about feeding 5,000 people, so I got some chips, got some Oreo cookies.
No.
Hold on, I got more here. I got some donuts in here. Look at this big old jar of peanut butter I got.
That's a lot of peanut butter.
Yeah, and I got some of this too.
Okay, this is not what we're talking about
a loaf
today.
Of bread.
I think you could feed the neighbor kids, but you couldn't feed 5,000 with that.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, there's a lot of food in here, but not enough for 5,000 people.
No,
so,
actually, all we need for today's lesson is some crackers and some fish.
No way. That cannot feed 5,000 people. If my food wouldn't feed 5,000 people, that's certainly not going to feed 5,000 people.
Well, before we get to how it was done, I was telling them these people were following Jesus to see what he would do next. And he asked one of his disciples, Philip, how they would be able to provide food for these people. And he asked Philip, where should we buy the bread and the fish?
So Philip thought they could just go to the supermarket and buy it?
Well, he knew that they couldn't because there was no supermarket and there was no way they had enough money to buy that.
That would take a lot of money to feed 5,000 people.
So really, Jesus was testing him to see if he had faith in knowing that Jesus already figured out what was going to happen.
Okay.
And then Jesus Andrew, his other disciple, Jesus was testing him a little bit too, because Andrew saw this boy that had a basket that had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish in it. And he mentioned it to Jesus, but he had no idea what Jesus could do with that.
So the miracle is how they fed them with a little bit of fish and a little bit of
So
crackers.
Mr. Tim's going to read in John chapter 6, and we're going to find out how Jesus took this and fed 5,000 men.
We're going to read chapter 6, verse 10 through 13 out of John, and it says, Jesus said, Have the people sit down. There were plenty of grass in that place to set down. About 5,000 men were there. Jesus then took the loaves and gave thanks, and distributed it to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they all had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, Gather the pieces that were left over, let nothing be wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with pieces of 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. So he took that little bit of fish and a little bit of bread and still had some left over?
Yes, he took 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and he multiplied them so that everyone had enough to eat as much as they wanted, and had 12
So you're
baskets.
talking about like my basket here that I have my food in,
There were 12 left over.
and they started with that much.
That's it.
Wow, that is an awesome miracle.
Well, and Jesus did it not just to feed the 5,000, which he did want to do, but he also did it to show us, as we read the Bible now, that he can take whatever little bit that we can offer to him, and he can make an amazing amount of good out of it.
Yeah. So your challenge this week is to, no matter how little you think you have, offer it to God, because God can use no matter how much you think you don't have. God can use it and make it be enough. And you know what? If you give God just a little bit of what you have and it's all you have, he will multiply it, and then you'll have some left over on top of that. So no matter how much you think you can't help God or how much you don't have, God can change that into exactly what he needs and exactly what you need. So that's your challenge this week. Give what little bit you think you have and just give it to God. He will multiply it. So until next week, give it to God.
Bye.